A floating lifeline, this makeshift US-built pier brought its first shipments of aid into Gaza this morning just after 9 a.m. A precise, if imperfect, artery, much slower than land deliveries. It's allowed offshore cargo ships to deliver supplies in by sea. Waiting for them, empty trucks, the smoke erupting behind them, a reminder of the dangers onshore. 640,000 people have now left the southern city of Rafah, where more than 1 million Gazans had fled. Its tent city, once declared safe, is anything but. It's the beaches of Dar al-Bala further north that are now crowded with its makeshift homes and a population lacking in food, water and basic medical care. The temporary furnishings of life on the move strapped to cars and donkeys. The journey north is one made in hope of safety. But it's a tired hope for so many like Ibrahim, whose family has done this 5 times. Exhausted, he's decided to return to what's left of their home.
God willing, I can repair this hole so the children don't fall out. They did not say that this area was safe, but we returned because we had no place to go.
The World Food Programme is warning further escalation in Rafah could bring aid to a standstill, and all G7 nations bar the US have called for Israel to reopen the border crossing there to let aid in.
We've not been able to access our warehouse in Rafah for more than a week. We have very little food and fuel coming through the border crossings in the south, and we are always trying hard, but failing currently to bring in consistent volumes of food.
Today, Israel responded to an emergency injunction from South Africa, the UN's top court, the ICJ, one calling for it to order a stop to the Rafah offensive. This is part of South Africa's wider case accusing Israel of genocide, a claim it today dismissed as heinous.
Only by bringing down Hamas's military stronghold in Rafah will Palestinians be liberated from the clenched grip of a murderous terrorist regime.
Earlier proceedings were temporarily interrupted as one of its lawyers was heckled.
Liars! Liars!
This afternoon, the IDF announced that the bodies of 3 young Israelis, Ishtak Galarenta, Shani Luke and Amit Bouskila, had been recovered from a tunnel in Jabalia. Images of Shani's body being driven through Gaza, surrounded by fighters, were widely shared in the aftermath of the October 7th attacks. All 3 had been killed by Hamas at the Nova Music Festival. Today, a troupe of Israeli dancers recreated the attack at the site in honour of friends killed here. Relatives and survivors watched on, remembering those they lost so violently that day.
Amelia Jen there. Now, earlier, Maher Issa, the director of a non-governmental organisation in Gaza, spoke to me from Rafah, where internet connectivity was poor. I began by asking him what challenges his organisation faces trying to help people who are being continually displaced.
Most of the people leave their homes without their personal things, without papers, without anything. So when they accommodate in certain area for 1 month or 2 months, they buy everything, and then the Israelis enforce them to displaced again. So they start from zero another time, several times. Everything very expensive here, people without money, and they are striving from everything. They need a lot of things, milk for children, they need turbulence for the shelter, they need wood also, which is very expensive, they need tents, and the current provided or required material for their dignified shelters, it's less than 10%, frankly talking.
Now, we know that the first shipment of aid has arrived at this sort of temporary port that was sort of constructed by the Americans. 500 tons of aid is expected to be delivered over the next few days. How much difference will that make?
It does not solve the problem. We have to be sure 100% that these will reach to their end targets, people on the ground. If you also, if we have the flour, how people are going to cook it? There is no fuel, there is no gas.
As you look ahead to the next few days and weeks, what are your critical concerns right now?
Our main concern now that the Israelis might widen their operation in other areas, including Rafah. And this will be more victims, massacres here, and victims from both sides.
But above all, you need the fighting to stop.
Yes, certainly. It's a precondition. It's a must precondition. Then we all support a justified prisoner package deal, ceasefire, peace building, whatever. But most important now to save the lives of the people on the ground from both sides, who are mostly innocent in this war.
Maha Issa, thank you very much for talking to us today.